Today we are going to be discussing the working class. The working class is composed of skilled workers, unskilled workers, domestic servants, and the lower class. Skilled workers, also known as the kings of the working class, often served as tradesmen and craftsmen, with better pay and working conditions compared to unskilled workers. Unskilled workers usually were factory laborers, architectural workers, and dock workers. They worked long hours in poor conditions for low wages. They faced job insecurity and had limited rights and protections. Domestic servants often served as housemaids, cooks, nannies, and butlers. They lived in the homes of the wealthy and performed household chores, but had to strictly follow a social code of conduct. The poor or underclass were often beggars, casual laborers, or those without steady work. They often resorted to begging or crime to survive. The upper class often viewed the working class as the masses and had little understanding or concern for their struggles. Skilled workers often were wannabe middle classmen. Although department stores allowed for more people to access fashion, the working class still didn't have the means to afford the newest trends and styles. Women in the working class wore clothing that was functional and durable, simple dresses, aprons, shawls, and bonnets, used to protect clothing while working. Working class women had little access to expensive, extravagant fashion of the upper class. Clothing was often handmade or passed down. Like women, men in the working class wore durable clothing suited to manual labor, including trousers, shirts, and rough jackets for protection. Working class men had limited access to the latest fashions and instead focused on practicality. Fashion for working class men was less about trendiness and more about affordability and comfort. In conclusion, the working class in Victorian society was diverse and multifaceted. It had various levels of employment and social interaction. Fashion for both men and women was dictated by practicality and modesty, often reflecting the values and constraints of Victorian society.
Religion and leisure time activity in the 19th century. Across Europe, drinking was a favorite leisure time activity of the working class, but many middle class moralists disagreed with this. Drunkenness became a problem in society, but this problem declined in the late 19th century as it became socially unacceptable. Drinking also became a more social thing in the 19th century. The two other leisure activities of the working class were sports and music halls. During this time, the practice of cruel sports declined, and instead, people enjoyed sports like soccer and racing. It was also common to bet on many of these sports. Churches and religion experienced a great revival in the 19th century, similarly to the 18th century vitality of popular religion. But religion began to decline in the last few decades of the 19th century, mostly in urban working class rather than their rural counterpart, partly because of church construction failed to keep up with the rapid urbanization. Churches were also viewed as conservative institutions, leading many people to be pro-religion but anti-church. However, this was very different in the United States, as church and state had always been separate.